Okay, Little Rock, grab your coffee, get jacked up, and be very careful because you might get knocked out on this episode of The Block Talk. I am so excited to welcome you, TJ Brown, to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Can I actually do it this way? In the other corner, please welcome.
Yeah, that would be way cooler.
So I'm very excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm sorry things didn't work out before, but I've been so busy with this camp, it's kind of hard to make time right now.
Well, let's jump right into that because you were away training, which means you have something on the horizon.
Yeah, so May 1st, I'm fighting Kaya Kamaka, this guy from Hawaii. Super good, just not quite as good as me.
Duh.
Yeah.
That's because...
But I've been in full camp, been out in Missouri, just got back this week, so just been super busy.
Yeah, and you guys are fighting. This is like post-COVID. Did you fight at all since March of last year besides that last? I did see the one in 2020. I think August was the last time I got to watch.
Luckily, the UFC was one of the only companies in business still going during COVID. A lot of even the professional sports that had shut down, baseball, football, different things, but the UFC kept going, and it's actually worked out for me. So I'm glad Dana White, the president, was able to keep fights going.
It would be super weird if they didn't fight through that, if you know what I mean.
For sure. I don't know what could have turned, it could have made for my career. I just got my contract not so long ago, and then the COVID hit. So, but luckily we kept rolling, and we're going forward. So.
Well, what's really exciting for me about your talent and about you being just now into the UFC, but also having a history of fighting here in Little Rock, is that this podcast is about highlighting the talent and the amazing people and their stories that come from our city.
Cool.
So I kind of want to hear about how you got started. And I know you had started, I think you started fighting in Benton, didn't you?
Actually I did.
Okay,
yeah.
And then you moved over. I do my research.
Cool.
So I'm curious though to hear and this is the one thing I don't know too, and I'm curious if my audience does. What inspired you to throw that first punch?
Yeah.
And then how did the career kind of go?
Yeah. So one thing that is kind of cool with me, I am homegrown. You have different guys that have bounced around many gyms and go different places, but I am specifically homegrown here in Little Rock, Arkansas. I luckily ran into Matt and Raleigh Delgado, the owners of Westside MMA, and put me in the position I am now. But what got me started? So I played different sports growing up. I played football, baseball. I actually played a little bit of college football for a year. Some things happened that didn't work out so well, and I was kind of I was really in a bad place in my life, to be honest. Things weren't going real well, and I got news that this guy sitting behind me, my son, was on his way.
That's right, ladies. He's not the cutest guy in the room.
So I got that news, and I was like, man, I've got to get myself together. I've got to do something. I've got to make something happen. And I'm looking at, man, what am I good at? What attributes do I have? I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I didn't exactly love school. Let's put it like that. And I'd been, and growing up, I'd gotten a few fights, and I did kind of well. I was like, man, let's give this a try. So I typed in Westside MMA into Google.
You must have also had a little bit of fun fighting, because most people aren't like, remember that time I got beat up? Let me look into my career options.
Yeah, I did. Luckily I did. But really it was out of necessity a lot. I will say that. I to get in dive a bit into my story. I didn't have a father growing up. So having a kid was a big deal to me. I had always told myself, hey man, when this happens, it's time to get the job done. And when I knew he was coming into my life, I started taking things more serious, and that's kind of how I found fighting. But yeah, I do love it. I do enjoy it. It's quite a adrenaline, dump. It's a great experience for sure.
Yeah. So when you met them and you met Matt and Raleigh, did you just immediately you fell in love with the sport, already loved it, and then just naturally progressed at being good at it? Or was there struggle along the way?
There was definitely some natural talent, because I was going in there and I was getting the better of the guys that had been there for a while. So I knew man, I got to have something here. You know what I mean? And Matt, I don't know if you met Matt, but he's kind of he can be a meanie sometimes.
He's a fireball.
He is. That is a great way to put him, fireball. And for him to be putting time into me, that had to mean something. Like, why was this guy? He had all these fighters, all these people in the gym. Why was he putting time into me? And the same for Raleigh, luckily those guys really came into my life at a point I needed them, and it gave me a bit of structure, gave me something to work on, And luckily, everything worked out, and we're here we are now.
It's really funny to hear you say that too, because I have an experience at Westside and had gone in there, and that's how I learned really that I could be, that you were personable and that we'd maybe get here someday. But the first time that I ever went in there, Matt was coaching, and he was hilarious. First of all,
he does so good in front of crowds. Like, he's a great almost performer,
he's
right?
like an MC.
He does a great job of it.
And he makes you laugh and he makes you feel comfortable. And as a newbie, you're just like totally terrified. You're like, there's all these guys beating the crap out of each other. The girls in there are, I mean, they scare me.
Impressive,
I walk in the
right?
room and I'm
Yeah.
like, like they scare me. They're really strong.
You know, and that says a lot about you to even have, I guess, the courage to even walk in there. It is an intimidating space. You know, for you to be able to walk in there takes a bit of courage just to get in the door. So,
well, to be fair, I kind of brought my son too and was like, okay, if I whiz out, then he's going to whiz out. So I kind of have to go through with it now.
Right.
But,
hey, no, that was well played. Well played.
You.
Yeah, for sure.
But Matt, you know, going back to him, I asked him that question. And there's another trainer there. He teaches Tuesdays, 6 at night. Brutus?
Boris.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Now that's an intimidating looking man.
Best playlist in the place.
Oh yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
But when I go in there to when I go in there to train the first couple times, Matt and him, they're both like hilarious and kind. But what they also do, I ask them, I'm like, so what is it about these fighters? Like, how do you know that there's going to be one that's different than the others, and what makes you want to pull them apart?
Question.
And you know what they said? They were both like, you can see it in them. It's the way they train. It's how hard they work. It's what they're fighting for.
Yeah, for sure.
And they can see it in you. So it's cool to know that like that's what they saw, and then they just pulled it out of you.
Yeah, it's cool. Huh?
So have you found like full circle now? You go and you get a UFC contract, which is like the thing to do in your industry, right? When that happens, are you just like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to be a career fighter now, or are you just? Do you have like a whole nother set of goals?
That's such a good question. So for me, I never thought I'd be here. Honestly, you know, I wasn't the guy that walked in the gym and said, "Oh, I'm fixing to be the next world champion." That wasn't me. You know, I'd set small goals, like, you know, I wanted to take a fight. I wanted to win a fight. And I was like, all right, I'm undefeated as amateur. Let's see if I can go pro. So I turned pro, and then things kept building, and I was like, man, I started believing in myself a bit, and here we are now in the UFC. You know, I mean,
big deal.
It is. You know, for as far as MMA fighting, that is the pinnacle of the sport. That's the highest of the high, and for a small town guy in Arkansas to make it all the way, I mean, it is a big deal, and it's something I'm very proud of, for sure.
You should be, and we're proud of you.
Sure,
it's wonderful to be able to say, yeah, he's from Little Rock.
For sure,
unless you live here too,
yeah,
you don't know about Little Rock.
For real.
People try to talk about Little Rock, talk about Arkansas.
Right on.
You've never been here, and I'll go toe to toe to anybody when it comes to, you know, defending our city. But you can fight them.
For sure. I got your back.
That being said, so it'll be exciting too, because I think your next show will be Joe Rogan, right? So it's my show and then it's Joe Rogan.
Right,
that's how they do
of course.
It in the MMA world.
That's usually the normal steps.
I know. So that being said, what is your goal when it comes to influencing your son? Because I'm going to ask you that knowing that, like, you walked in here, you've got your son with you. My son is walking around the block. That's been the turning point for me too. You have a kid and all of a sudden someone's watching you. Man. You don't want them to go through the same things you did, but you also do want them to have that tenacity and to know what struggle means. So where does your career fall into your relationship with your son, and what encouragement do you have for other fighters who have kids watching them fight for a living? Because I'm sure that comes with some explanation.
Yeah, another great question. You're right. You know, I don't want my son to have come up the way I did or deal with some of the things I did, but also some of those struggles I had have made me who I am today. So the way that I think I impact him is by my work ethic. You know, he gets to see for his own eyes his father's in there busting his butt in there every day, putting in the work. And there's days I get up, I don't want to go, and he sees that, you know, and hopefully that's inspiring to him to know that it is possible. And no matter where you're from, it is possible to make it. You know, if you're willing to put in the work and to do it, then anything's possible. So hopefully I have a good influence, but at the same time, it's a two-edged sword. He's had to endure me having some losses. So you know, that was very heartbreaking for both of us. You know, so I've had to find ways to flip things like that around. You know, and the way that I looked at it is, yes, these losses were horrible to watch, and he was heartbroken just like me. But you know what? That's going to happen in life, right? Like you're going to get.
But you're usually not sitting there like, my dad is getting punched in the face, and I can't do anything.
That's the extreme of the extreme, right? But however, you're going to lose in life, and every successful man or woman I know has failed 100 times, and it's how you respond to those losses. And guess what? I've lost my last fight, but here I am. I'm putting in the work, and I got back. I dusted myself off, and here I'm fixing to take on the next challenge. And hopefully I'm able to go in there and get this win and set a good example.
Oh,
for
I
him.
can feel it. It's yours.
Yeah, for sure. Right on.
Yeah. The exciting part about it too is for him, fighting is something that usually you tell your kids, like, quit hitting each other.
Yeah.
Stop fighting.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
8 brothers, no sisters.
Oh,
I'm the
wow.
youngest and the only girl.
Oh, you had to be tough.
So yeah, I mean,
You had to be
you want to go?
tough.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight anyone that works out at MMA at Westside because they're all strong. But that being said, how do you explain, the time and the place? Like, there's self-defense. There's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So I'm not just a UFC fighter. I'm actually a coach. I love coaching. Hopefully, when I'm done fighting, I'll have my own gym. But I do teach kids in there as well. So your question
I'm
was
in the kids class. I'm in the children's class. They won't let me in the adult kickboxing class. But anyway.
So I have to be able to explain when that line is. When is it okay to fight? When is it not? And a lot of, I think what we do is we're able to give them a bit of confidence. When you can handle yourself and you have confidence in yourself to take care of business, you really don't have to express it. A lot of times you can walk off from a situation confidently. But let's also be real honest, kids are mean.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
kids are mean. And kids are mean to other kids, right? So I think you need to be able to defend yourself, and at some point you may be backed in the corner and need to take it, be able to defend yourself and be able to get home, and we prepare you for that as well, and that's something I prepare my son for. I never want him to fight. I never want him to compete. Although I'm in the UFC, everything's bright and shiny. There's been a lot of bumps on the way, and I never want him to endure that. However, I want him to be able to protect himself and defend himself if something happens, and have the confidence to be able to deal with bullies, because bullies are real and things he's going to deal with,
That's the thing that really gets me is you say kids are mean, but people are mean too. And you got to watch it too, because you're going to get old and he's going to have to protect you.
Right.
You might want to teach him something.
For sure. He definitely could. Like, you've seen him in the gym.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I told my son we left him, like, you see that? You see that? That's what your future looks like if you work hard. Because the thing is, and I will tell you from a mother's perspective, my son goes in there and he works out. Yeah. He comes out stronger. Yeah. He comes out more convinced that he can do something.
Right on.
He feels more confident.
I think that's one of the most powerful things that we give, that martial arts has offered, not only to myself, to other people, and also just being comfortable in the uncomfortable. You have to learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And that's a very uncomfortable situation. If you can be comfortable there, an interview or a meeting or job meeting or a hot date is going to be nothing compared to that.
I'm literally thinking about how you're like on the ground, hold some sweaty person you never met before, like
very uncomfortable
on the ground. You're like, I can handle anything.
That's basically what I mean.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, a few times after I showed houses, after just learning little things, like, because in my industry, it's important to have self-defense, and it didn't always become evident until we had kind of a traumatic story. I can see
that'd be really important, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, yeah.
We had a traumatic issue here in our own. We lost a realtor of our own to a murder, and it was, that it was a big wake-up call for a lot of us, thinking, like, we don't have any self-defense. We don't even think about.
Do y'all have anything like that?
Well, now we're going to go to Westside MMA like I did, and we're all going to get trained. So you hear me, realtors? It's Westside MMA. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, and I told that to Matt, too, when I was there, is you guys have this ability to let me feel more confident, and I'm already like, I got a bit of a history. So I'm not really worried that, I might be okay. But if somebody bigger than me, stronger than me, and more skilled than me decides they want to take me down, they're probably going to win. We can
honestly prepare you for that. Yeah. I can honestly say that is something we can help prepare you for. And man, not only just yourself, there's other jobs like police officers. I have no idea how the police officers, not every police officer in Little Rock is not at that gym,
There is a police officer there that's really strong.
There are several. Yeah. There are several, but I don't see how not all of them are. I think that would, we've recently had some issues with police brutality, different things like that. I think this is something that could really help and
subdue them easier.
Yeah, exactly, and learn how to deal with those kind of situations properly. And I think that's something that could really help.
It's a good point, and I love that you're here because you have this ability to speak to our community because it is a small town, and that's what I say when our listeners don't understand. Our listeners are nationwide and worldwide, so they might not understand that Little Rock is a little town. Yeah, it's actually a very small town. Yeah. Everyone knows each other. Right on. So when you can speak to that and say, look, if you're in the real estate industry, you need self-defense, go to Westside MMA. If you're a police officer, you want to know how to learn these tactics, go over to Westside MMA. Right. That's what created there, like an open place for us to go and 100%. Learn. That being said, I did learn enough from your class and from going there that I feel more confident when I'm out, because
that's what I'm looking for.
Go ahead, cool. Let's see if it see if it works. If you want, you can attack me real quick and see if it. I'm just kidding.
In front of everyone.
Right before we leave. No, not in front of everyone. Hit stop on the recording. But that being said, you have a big fight coming up, but you're also coming out of training. So one thing that I know from entrepreneur adventures anyways, is you have to be prepared. Anytime you're going to go into something that is different or that's bigger than something you've been through before. So how do you mentally, I mean, physically, this is all physical for you, but how do you mentally get through that preparation?
So I would even venture to say it's almost, fighting is almost more mental than physical. Now don't get me wrong, you need to be in peak condition, however it is at least 80% mental. And some of the things I've done to help me prepare that is I actually have a sports psychologist now that helps me deal with the whole process, so that I'm able to kind of deal with the going in front of the lights, so that I'm able to perform at my best, the best I can, and help me, if there's anything that I'm dealing with or having troubles with, that helps me get them out, so I'm able to prepare my best. So I mean, it's really tough, and on top of that, even having a sports psychologist, it's tough, at the end of the day, I'm going in front of national television, fighting another man, and everybody's watching. Like, there's a lot of pressure on
small
that.
Shorts. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure, and I think anybody could go out and just you get mad at the bar and pop off and fight somebody, but to know for like months on end you're fixing to be locked in a cage with somebody else, it's very stressful, and it's tough. Not to mention having a son home every day. I have to be able to, when I'm at the gym, I'm this TJ, and then when I get home, I'm this TJ. I mean, it's been a tough thing to separate, but I've gotten better at it over the last 10 years.
No, I admire your discipline. That's the first word that came to mind when you said that, because it's really hard to stop. I mean, when you're going, that energy starts coming, and you're just like, I'm going to take him down. I looked at his Facebook page. I'm not even, his dog is ugly. And then you have to be like, hey, Tyler, how was your day at school?
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Man, I'm so excited to see this. I can't wait. So what about as far as coaching and teaching goes? What do you think your ultimate, and I know that could change. It's a living document, but what do you think your ultimate goal is? I mean, do you really want to become, other than the baddest ass fighter that ever came out of Little Rock, do you want to be also like a full-time child coach, or open your own gym? Or
like I said, I honestly, I had set a goal of being a UFC champion. But one thing I did have a goal is I wanted to own one of the best gyms that's ever been around. I want to be a great coach. Coaching for me has done so much for my life. Again, not having a father, I've had coaches come in my life that were like fathers, and if I would want to do something like that for other kids and other people in this world. And man, being a coach is one of the most fulfilling jobs there is in the world. So when I'm done fighting, I want to have my own place, maybe an affiliate of Westside MMA. So that is the end game, and you're going to see one of the best gyms you've ever seen when that day comes.
I will be there ready I almost brought my gloves, but then I was afraid things would get serious.
Yeah, they might have.
I don't even know how to wrap the thingies. I just bought them from Amanda when I started there.
Because they do look cool. There are some cool ones.
They look so cool. I walked. This is how committed I was. I walked in. I'm like, I love this place. I left after my first session. I'm like, Amanda, I need that sticker, and I want that sweatshirt, and can I have that keychain? I was addicted.
You was all in.
And then I started going all the time. Oh my gosh, it's addictive because the atmosphere.
Right.
You go in there and you feel good about yourself, and you're confident, and you're scared, and all the time courageous at the same time.
And that's one thing great that we offer is as an exercise. Right? Nobody wants to go in a gym and sit there on the treadmill and go through this painful, not an exercise you're not enjoying. But you go to Westside MMA, we're hiding a good workout. And you're learning some new stuff. You're learning some skills. You're having fun learning a new craft, and at the same time getting a jump exercise. So
it's all fun and games until you bring out the jump rope. So you can talk about hiding a good exercise, but let's all say that jump roping.
Get that jump rope when it's cold and it catches your toes. It's awful.
Yeah. So and I decided that I was going to work out in my gym in my garage, and then I was going to come to Westside so that you guys would see my progress. And then Matt would be like, "You've been called up. It's time." Still hasn't happened, but I'm going to keep jump roping in my garage because it makes me feel like a boxer, even if I can't box.
You've definitely earned some stripes with me today.
Thank you. Sure. I appreciate that. So here's the thing. I need to ask this question because I literally almost bought this whole fight camp thing. Have you seen this thing come out?
Oh, yeah. That was actually amazing. A good idea. Whoever did that did a great job.
Well, here's the thing. That's great, but What do you think about the aggression removal thing? I mean, does it
don't
feel
know. What
for
do you
you
mean?
like when you go out? And that's what I'm wondering about with this whole fight camp thing and with kids and discipline and coaching, like you're talking about. How do you feel about the whole like that's all you need to do to just release your aggression? Does that just make you feel a million times better when you go to and you just punch?
Look,
Because I know you punch people, but
it's been it's honestly saved my life. Like let's be real honest. Like it's a bit of therapy to me. You know, like I'm not
you just
crazy
don't seem like
or
an angry
yeah
guy.
yeah.
So I'm just like.
You know, I for the most part, I am a very passive, very nice guy. You know, I once worked security and I hated it. You know, like the thought of controversy.
Not sure if I'm supposed to hurt you or not.
The thought of controversy just like ekes me. You know, like I don't like it. However, I do have some. Everyone has a bit of some demons or some stuff inside them they need to let go, and it's been the most healthy way for me to kind of let that stuff out. And when I work out, I'm a better person. The best version of TJ Brown is when I work out consistently. You know, like I'm a better man that way for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that I get to know this version of you.
Yeah,
I don't know about
for
that other
sure.
guy. You seem like a pretty nice guy.
For sure.
And I know what that feels like just because my experience at Westside gave me the option to go home and I did, punching a bag a little bit. It kind of takes some aggression.
You felt
out. But
better.
and I saw that
for
fight
sure.
camp thing. I thought, I'll just get up and every time someone makes me mad in my house, I'll just go punch that bag.
That's the way.
And I'll be a
I mean,
happier woman.
it's a healthier way than some other things.
So you've chosen a career that allows you to not only be an attentive father, keep your kid around and do the fun things you want to do, also expose him to that life of entrepreneurship, but also training hard, going through the ups and downs.
Right.
You get to stay home in Little Rock, right? And travel out for the fights. So you kind of have that worked out. You're pretty much living your dream.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
there's nothing missing,
100%.
right? So what could you ask from your home base, right? Your fight's coming up.
Yeah.
We in Little Rock want to support you 100%. The Block Talk wants to showcase everything you're doing, follow
Yeah.
you, talk about Westside. So what can we do to support you and how can we really make you shine here at home?
For sure. Make sure you're supporting, watching the fights. If you have social media, make sure and follow me at Downtown TJ Brown. And any sponsorship opportunities are available through my manager. So any support is gladly appreciated.
Well, what we're going to do at the end of the show is when the video feature ends, there'll be a pop-up that'll have your agent's info if you'll give it to me.
Perfect.
And then we'll have sponsorship
Sweet.
opportunities reach
That'd be
directly
great.
out to them. So
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait to watch this fight, but I'm also going to see you at the gym here in a couple of days. So
Sounds good.
we're going to pretend like everything is fine and you're not going to beat me up, right?
Oh, wait. We'll see.
Your guys' workout in the gym is serious.
Yeah,
TJ.
for real, for
I'm not
sure.
joking. If you haven't been, go try out. If you get a free kickboxing class,
That's
you
right,
Try it out.
for
It's
sure.
a free class, no risk. Go in and meet the Downtown TJ Brown.
Come holler at me.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Little Rock, we're out.